Back for another episode. Love God and love sexing.
Loving both.
Loving God and love sexing.
As my homeboy used to say, praise the Lord and pass the panties.
Joe Budden podcast clip that was floating around Instagram. We're going to show it for you guys, but always like to kind of explain it. They're all sitting around, talking, and they talked about how increasingly difficult, rather, it's become to sustain a lifestyle as a parent, but even B, dating.
Mm-hmm.
Nowadays, I think it's hard as hell to be a parent. Just being a parent, dog, is hard. And the way the economy is going, it's going to even get worse. I think today, I would tell kids to hold off on having children because you need to set up certain foundational things now before you have them. You agree?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
For the guy that hasn't built that foundation.
Don't have no kids, yo. Don't have no kids, bro.
No, fam.
I'm lying, Ice?
No.
Bro, don't have no kids, yo.
You're absolutely right.
I agree with that.
Absolutely
Yo,
right.
dog.
I do.
I'm
Hey,
telling
I'll take
you,
it a
yo.
step further. You really should be trying to date too much right now.
Bro, this shit different out here, yo.
Crazy.
Joe, you know how much daycare costs?
Fuck daycare. Don't even make it to daycare. Formula.
Diapers.
Diapers.
If you can find formula, right?
If you can find formula.
find
That shit is $14 a bottle on sale.
Jay, why don't you just, come right in here and give your opinions on this clip.
Well, when we first talked about doing this, we had talked about how we could, relate it to dating. And I think they even said it in there, like, I believe
Don't date.
somebody said if you can't, like
No, it was like, yo,
something
you
like,
can't
if
afford a
have
kid.
kids,
Wait.
Forget about kids before you even get to kids. Like,
And they said, yeah, don't even date. I would tell
date.
guys, don't even date.
I would have the same kind of advice. Like, if you haven't really set up those life essentials to be a leader in your home, to take care of your family the way you want to be able to take care of a family, like, just prioritize working on yourself, getting you some skills, maybe learning a trade, doing something that will build you up to be able to sustain a wife, a family, a home in the future. Now, do I think you should be celibate this whole time? I'm not going to say yeah or nay, but I do feel like you should probably prioritize just learning how to talk to women, learning how to befriend women, listening to women, maybe learning how to be there emotionally for them, because that's what's ultimately going to get you to a wife and a family. So I think if you don't have those life essentials, if you today, because I mean this was all in the context of how hard it is to be a parent and the advice that was given by the Joe Budden podcast to young men to, like, yo, hold off. If you're young, or even if you're an adult, over 25,
Mm-hmm.
and you don't have the kind of income that you want, that affords you the lifestyle that you want to have and be able to provide for somebody, work on that.
Yeah.
Prioritize that for now.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know you're big on the if you can't afford to date,
If you can't afford to date, don't date. Don't date. Don't do it.
Yeah.
It's a waste of your time and hers.
Ooh.
Waste of your time and hers.
And women hate to have their time wasted.
Well, you never get it back.
Everybody does, but I hear women complain about it a lot.
Well, my women friends talk about, for those who want to have babies from their own womb, they'll talk about, this is a waste of my time. I don't get this back. There's only so many eggs I have, only so many chances I have, especially for women who are aware of their medical history and their family history.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want their time wasted at all. At all. My takeaway is this country should be outraged that we are in this position where young men and young women cannot start a family young and get married and sustain their life together. Outraged. The income inequality and the inequities in the system have created gaps so huge that it's becoming insurmountable and intolerable. And it's driving people insane. You are seeing reports after reports and studies and quotes where people are saying, I don't want to have children. A lot of it's connected to the finances behind supporting children.
Mm-hmm.
Has nothing to do with a desire. But with childcare rivaling rent, coupled with, as they said on the podcast, formula, finding formula. I just saw the other day in the news a formula company is getting sued for formula that was bad or toxic. It's crazy.
Had microplastics in it and all
Yeah.
that. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of pressure on women now to breastfeed. That doesn't work for every woman. This is getting out of hand. The inequities in healthcare, the inequities in the marketplace, inequities with housing, they're driving all of our young people to not want a couple. And you can just put yourself in your own little cocoon or your correspondence, right? And just watch porn, play video games like men are doing, or as some people will argue, women are doing, driving themselves into work and into their women communities and figuring out life together. This country should feel as if their pants are on fire. Because when your pants are on fire, you're not casual. You're proactive. No one has their pants on fire says, I'm just going to, new Ghostbusters movie's out. Let me just go see that and then I'll work on this. Yeah. It's not an Excel sheet waiting for you at home. Your pants are on fire.
Yeah.
Do something and fast. But we talk, we complain, we get angry at each other, we argue with each other on the internet. Men blame women, women blame men. People blame other people of different genders. Everyone's going like this. And then we're still in the same space with some of the bad actors in the system or bad practices in the system, still dividing us and sending us down this dark spiral. Now, I'll go back to my point. If you can't afford the date, right? If you cannot afford the date, don't date. But I recognize most men are not built that way. You and I talked offline about monk mode. What is monk mode? It's a new concept. It's been all around for years where men live an ascetic lifestyle. What they do is they work out. They develop a gratitude spiritual practice. They go to work. They network. They connect with other men and other people. They work on a business, and they do that wash, rinse, repeat for years. Now, I'm not saying decades, but at least 2 or 3 years. So let's say 24 to 36 months. Disappear. Get off social media. Get off the porn. You're seeing a big part of that. And it's not even religious folks saying it because everyone's recognizing the life of distractions that we lead and the focus you need as a man to reach your goals, especially if you want to be with a woman. You want to have a nice space. You want to have a car. Period. Or the ability to afford car-like transportation, i.e. a Revel, a Uber, etc. And what's going to happen when you're in monk mode, you're still going to need to connect. And so I would recommend creating non-sexual avenues of connection and interaction. You said it best. If you're a man in monk mode, just focusing on yourself while you're preparing yourself for a wife or a long-term relationship, you're going to need to find ways to connect with women in a non-sexual way so you can learn how to listen to women, talk to women, connect with women, and get their perspective. And that's the best thing you can do because that becomes part of your monk practice. You're not paying for dinners. You're not going crazy paying for dates. You're not traveling all over the world. You're doing this to connect and serve a woman who is not going to give you anything back except friendship. And that's going to change your perspective and make you a better lover.
Just that willful simping that we talk about. Sometimes sometimes it's the necessary medicine. Who cares who's, you know, ragging on dudes who simp and who recognize and understand a woman's beauty, their value, and want to uplift women and all of these things. Like, who cares who got something bad to say about that? It's gonna help you more in the long run. Listening to these dudes who want to rag on you, oh, you a simp, you just taking up, caping up for these bro. Cool, bro. Let me know how that works out for you in 20 years.
How do you lead a family? How do you lead a family?
Being antagonistic to women. How you going to lead a family?
Say it again, please.
How you going to lead a family being antagonistic to a woman? Yeah, I don't get it. I don't get it. Or not recognizing and acknowledging, like you said, their value outside of sex. It's going to be hard. It's going to be hard. Which actually leads me to something else I was thinking about related to this.
Before you say that point, just move a little bit more over the camera. I feel like, yeah, there we go. You're right in the middle. Go ahead.
Got you. The other thing takeaway I had about this was related to what we were just talking about. I know a lot of people, especially I don't know why it seems like lately young people are just talking about if I want to just have a child, I will just have a child.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if they think physical attraction and emotional capacity is all that is required to sustain a family or make a baby, but that financial compatibility is also a big piece. Like you're talking about the outrage that citizens in this country should have because of the way the economy is impacting our dating and mating practices. Within that conversation, you may not be able to bag a Lori Harvey because you don't have a Michael B. Jordan bag, but whatever woman you're dealing with on whatever level, make sure y'all are financially compatible. You know, I was watching Love is Blind, it's my guilty pleasure. I was watching a new season. And one of the girls was talking about how she was so happy to hear from her guy that he was open to 50-50, but not necessarily that being financial. So it's like, and I think you made this point before, just because I may not be the breadwinner, I'm still occupying a role as the leader in the home and taking leadership of the finances. And I'm saying, this is how we're going to operate with them. This is going to be what covers our bills. This is what we're going to use for our trip every year. This is what we're going to use to, you know what I mean? Whatever on down the line. But you need that financial compatibility. I personally feel like it's also necessary when you're talking about children, because I know people who are very rich, and because they are the breadwinner, they think they get to say how the child gets to be raised.
Mm. Mm.
There's an imbalance in the finances, and the one with the more money thinks they get to say how things go. So I think y'all, before you even think about opening your legs, before you even think about, catching some seeds, having a club shot up, make sure y'all are financially compatible and on the same page. Because if you do end up with a bun in the oven, you just want to make sure you have leverage on how that child is raised. Because making it is one thing, but raising it is a whole nother thing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you made an important point, which is financial compatibility really determines your future. And you really can't think about what's going to happen next with another human being unless you're willing to do the work of bonding and listening to them financially. Taking it a step further, though, when I speak to women, I hear I'm okay with 50-50 if you're willing to do the 50-50 work of helping around the house and with the children. I'm all good with 50-50 financially, but I just can't do everything on my own. As we mentioned, that's slavery. And some men, I believe, or what I hear, the perception of what some women have is y'all are cool financially, but then all the work is on me. And what's happening, I think, is some men have enough money to move financially, but not enough to increase lifestyle. And what comes with that is, okay, I can pay the bills and, I can have a car note and I can take care of maybe a trip or two, but I don't have the resources to have a live-in nanny and to do and bring in some of the help that really raises the quality of life so it's not all on you. And that's another piece. Do you have the financial compatibility to raise the quality of life or lifestyle with your family or for your family? So if you don't, that's fine. How are you going to contribute in other ways? And this is the tensions I think some men stay in, where if I'm at work and I'm contributing, trying to get the bag, how can I come home and do what I need to do in the home? And that's exactly what she's saying. If I'm at work trying to get the bag, how can I come home and contribute? I'm tired and exhausted too.
Just like you.
Just like you. Sometimes more so because women end up being the social secretaries and the go-tos for the phone calls from the school, et cetera, et cetera.
Mm-hmm.
So this is just a fascinating conversation, because to see the Joe Budden podcast that just covers an array of topics, talk about this moment that's literally happening in American life so clearly and succinctly, really underscores the fact that we are having problems and no one is really talking about solving these problems. I'm seeing some good things today, which is October the 3rd. There was a new release where they just forgave a bunch of student loans because a judge supported Biden's plan. This is not a political stump for who you want to vote for or what party you belong to, but just the fact that that is the kind of help this generation, going from Generation X down, right? Xennials, millennials, Gen Z, and now the beginning stages of Alpha need in order to sustain themselves. Because who would ever thought 30 or 40 years ago you'd be competing to buy a house with a private equity firm?
Son, wild. Who's gonna win that one? You got to arm wrestle with Hulk Hogan that got the 27-inch python. Who's gonna win that one?
You're literally fighting with private equity firms in every aspect of life: healthcare, housing,
education,
all the social determinants of health. This is a real scenario impacting a lot of young couples, and something that we as American citizens are going to have to take serious when we do go to the voting booth. Not just national elections, but local and state elections too. Wherever you're at, take them seriously and listen for the messages that are really providing hope for the average American worker and for the average American family, defined by not their ethnicity, not their sexual orientation, not their gender alone, but also by the unique experience of what it means to feel impoverished and to be a working wage individual in this country. With that said, let's make a transition to our second video. This clip is old. It's with Pastor John Gray. He was at a conference with T.D. Jakes' daughter, and he gets on the mic and he starts saying,
every woman in here at some point wants a man to come home and say, babe, here's $1,000. Go get your nails done, get your hair done, get a pedicure, get a manicure. Here's a box. Open this, wear this when I get home. Nothing is in it. She's like, there's nothing here. Exactly. Have that on when I get home. The bills are paid. The kids are covered. I prayed over you. Now handle what you need to handle so we can have a nice night. Put on Luther Vandross. Put on Luther, and let's do what we need to do. Because that's what a woman wants, and she should want it because God made it that way.
You know, every woman wants to know what it's like for her husband to give her $1,000 a week, take care of her, take her out. Oh, there's a box for you to put something on. There's nothing in it. That's right. There's nothing in it. That's what I want you in when I come home. We're about to get it in because you're pampered. You're taken care of. The bills are paid. The children are taken care of. Everything that you can mark off that women have to think about every day in a home, family, marriage situation has been resolved. You're good to go. I'm good to go. The last piece is I'm going to take care of you in the bedroom. Let's go.
And with that,
well,
the floor is open.
Before we get into this, we're going to let people know who may not be aware of who this gentleman is. John Gray is a very famous pastor, and he has been caught twice publicly cheating on his wife. First time, it was a big deal. Second time, there was something about his kid in the back of the car, and he was talking to a woman and how his wife doesn't make any food, or she doesn't, she's not, cooking is not her gift. There was some issue around that. I don't want to cast aspersions or give any misinformation or disinformation, but this is interesting coming from him. But let's not deal with the ad hominem attacks. Let's deal with what he said.
Yeah.
I'll let you jump in first.
Well, as we have said on this podcast numerous times before, if you want great intimacy with a woman, I think this is part of what Tavia was talking about, was learning how to take care of her heart. Now, I don't think every woman needs the $1,000 hair done, nails done, or I don't think every woman thinks having their external poured into or taken care of is the essence of being taken care of. For a lot of them, it's their heart. If you make me feel safe emotionally, yes, it feels great to look good, but I'm prioritizing feeling safe. I'm prioritizing feeling emotionally engaged. I'm prioritizing my feeling desired and wanted in a way that doesn't make me feel demeaned. When you're doing that, when you're nourishing and cherishing a woman mentally, emotionally, financially, spiritually, because he did say pray for her too, it can open up the floodgates, bro. It can open up the floodgates. And I thought, just based off of what he was saying, the context was because I think it was at a Christian marriage conference, and I'm assuming it was on the heels of somebody asking a question about, yo, man, I'm just trying to be able to enjoy some intimacy with my wife, but sometimes it feels like I'm coming up against a challenge. Now, the challenge may have been valid, but I think this is his advice to that person and any man really who is finding themselves in a holding pattern or being stymied by the closed legs.
So you in a longshoreman strike.
Facts.
After a week, he's messed up. 2 weeks, people getting laid off. 3 weeks.
It's like, oh, y'all gonna come back around and be like, actually, whatever you want, we'll give you. and I mean, but sometimes you have to, as a man, look at your effort, because it's obviously easy to want to be pleased. It's easy to want to be intimate and sexual or physically active, because that's a big need for men, right? But what are you doing to make it easy for you to get that? And environment can enhance the intimacy like never before. So are you creating an environment that's making it easy for her to relax? Because like you said before, she's working too. She got to come home and cook and clean and do all of this stuff. If she's the slave, what's going to make her want to sleep with you? When the master came to the slave quarters, I'm pretty sure as much as the women knew they had to do it, they didn't want to.
Yeah.
So like, I feel like it's the same thing in any relationship. If as a man you're saying, I want this intimacy, this is such a big need for me, I need this, I don't want to have to go outside of my marriage and cheat. Well, what are you? If women are receivers, if women amplify, what are you giving her to amplify?
Excuse me, I feel judged. Let me put my fedora on him.
Come on in here, Deacon. Come on in here, Deacon. It's your turn.
Said you caught Deacon Souls at the local porn shop. I was just here doing research. I said Christianity's under attack from Big Black Booties too, Deacon.
From Double XL, King magazine.
Roland Gomez on the cover. Roxy. Yo, sidebar.
Let's pull the car over real quick.
Those covers, when King and Smooth started dropping, I feel like what took the big booty focus over was, J-Lo contributed. I'm gonna give J-Lo props. But when Smooth and King magazine started dropping those covers, and I didn't realize it because I believe that was the seeds. It's getting real spiritual, but that was the seeds that created a harvest. Seriously, like that was the seeds where you really slowly started seeing big buck culture become pop culture. To now, it's okay if women of other ethnicities outside of black and brown have that round. But get back in the car. It was nice taking pictures. Let's get back on the road.
Sightseeing.
Okay. Yeah, it was nice. Now we back on the road. Being a leader in your home, since so many men talk about it, the key to is being restorative. And restoration is an essential element to creating an environment where a woman feels nurtured. When she feels nurtured and supported, you're going to get an abundance of creativity out of her on all levels of intimacy. Physically, emotionally, creatively, with mom to child, mom to in-law, mom to friends, mom to neighbors, wife to neighbors, wife to in-laws. It becomes such a powerful tool or a powerful connection that you literally feel you guys can do anything. The only most popular relationship I can see that's akin to that, and I'm sure there's multiple we could talk about, is Barack and Michelle. Like them or hate them. Disagree with them or agree with them. Barack and Michelle have weathered the storms together. And there was a point where Michelle was like, for 10 years, she hated Barack. But when you're able to get that synergy, you can literally change the world, which is what they're doing now. Again, agree with it or disagree with it. That's just one example. There's multiple examples. And the most important thing men have to realize in moving in this area is expecting a man to provide unconditionally is akin to godhood, because you are in your ultimate space of creativity by providing for a woman who can then amplify and multiply it back to you. And when you are making her the focus of your service and your help, you are generating power that's almost incomprehensible. We haven't measured it yet. There's no modern metrics to really talk about the impact that's going to have, that's going to reverberate into your line, into your lineage, and into your community. With that, though, comes great responsibility. And the lifestyle you provide for that woman has to be sustained. This goes back to our point earlier about financial compatibility. There's a lot of pressures that happen. And my heart goes out to men, me and you, frankly, because we're here talking about it, but to other men who are working tirelessly, not just at their workplace, not just in their side business or side hustle, but in their homes to be the best men they can be. Doing pickup and drop-offs, listening to her day, doing their best to be supportive, learning when they should put up boundaries, learning when they should, pierce through their own boundaries to reach a little bit more. There are men out there doing that. And my heart goes out to them, because there's a lot of pressure to be a couple nowadays that I don't think existed as intensely as it exists now, because of what we always talk about is plaguing and bedeviling couples in the United States. And I just encourage men, this pursuit is a noble pursuit. The pursuit of learning to serve your family, be moral, be integral to the values you've given her and said you represent. This is a noble pursuit. Very noble pursuit, but it's a painful pursuit. Very painful. You're going to get hurt. You're going to be disappointed, just like you disappoint people. And you're going to have to learn to serve no matter what. That means you keep your word and be more invested in keeping your word more than controlling her actions or seeing the outcomes that you're supposed to see. Now, you may get to a point where you say, I can't do this anymore, and you separate the right way. But you're going to have to learn that if you follow this path of serving, your woman and doing your best to bring her, help her, and so into her to bring out her best creative self. It's going to take time. It's a painful journey, but it's a journey that is worth it. Sometimes you may not see the fruition until you close your eyes for the final time.
Ooh, man.
Sometimes you may have to become an ancestor and float around the house and hear them tell stories about how much your dedication changed their lives. You may not hear about it for those who believe in this to Judgment Day.
Mm-hmm.
But for those who close their eyes for the final time and believe it's nothing but dirt and death, they say the brain, recounts life as you're passing away. Trust me, you'll see it in the recounting. You'll see it in that review.
You didn't always get your flowers when you was alive, but
you'll get it one way or the other.
Yeah, what's due to you is coming, period.
And when you hear these stories of these elderly women talking about their husbands, there's a lot these men put into these women and into their homes.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot they gave and a lot they sacrificed. And I'm saying you want a healthy family, a productive family. You want a woman who feels cherished, nourished, and uplifted. It's going to cost you everything. Everything.
I'm sorry.
But in giving everything, you'll receive so much more. But you got to sow that seed of everything.
I was going to say that's a narrative that we don't really hear a lot when it comes to being a man, which is how much of it is servanthood.
Mm-hmm.
How much of it is like we hear about sacrificing, like you said, in terms of nobility on the battlefield or something like that.
Yes, in the bedroom.
But no, we don't hear about sacrifice in the bedroom.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. You're right.
We don't hear about the nobility of because that's normally not what's associated with being a man. You don't hear about men sacrificing their orgasm so their woman can get off. We don't hear about that, but that's literally sometimes what it takes.
Oh, absolutely.
To make her feel special, which then in turn is better for you. Like we've talked about this. It's acting in your own best self-interest when you big up your woman, period.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. It's an amazing opportunity when you privilege and put your woman first. Your whole entire life will change positively.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, and women still respond to that type of energy, that type of masculinity of initiation with service. It's like, yo, you want me to be submissive? Lead by example.
Absolutely.
You want me to get on your program? Lead by example. Whatever you want, because I'm amplifying what you give me.
Yeah. And I think, I've heard this said before in some of our circles, church circles, and I heard Yada say it. How can you want someone else to submit and you don't submit? But I'll take it a step further. Why are you concerned about someone else submitting? You submit. That's your life. That's your life review when you pass away. That's your life that's going to be recounted, not hers. There'll be probably images of her in part of it, but it's your life. Now, you feel you're not connecting with someone, then there's an appropriate way to deal with that. Therapy, separation, taking care of someone, etc. But you are ultimately responsible for you. Be concerned about your own submission. If you talk about submission to God, great. If you talk about submission to goals, great. If you talk about submission to your vision, great. What are you submitting to? What you want is going to demand everything out of you. Are you willing to give everything? And not sit up here, and as we used to say back in the 90s, and pontificate and espouse rhetoric about what you're owed and what you need to do and who's owed what and I'm owed this. And that's all you're good for, is giving your everything to pontification and talking as opposed to giving your everything to work. How are you going to make that happen for you? How are you going to make that happen for her and your family?
Because that's what she's looking for. I got on your program. I attached myself to you. I took your last name, so I'm following you. What we doing?
And then turn around and say, well, you didn't clean up and you didn't X, Y, Z.
Cool. What we doing? Because that's what her mindset is going to be. Like you said, it don't matter what I do. You said you're the leader, so lead.
And that's my issue with the leadership language you see online. It's all based on demand culture. Well, I'm the leader, so then I'm the leader, so this. So you're the leader. You eat last. You provide. You're not providing. So why are you talking about being the leader?
Mm-hmm.
You're not staying in the center of service. So how can you say that you're a leader? How can you say you're leading me and leading the family?
Yeah. How can you say you deserve service if you're not providing any?
That's, what I was raised with. And a lot of it is just the anger. Then out comes the vitriol. Out comes women ain't this and feminism that. And, every space, every intellectual space online, from Nazism to white supremacy to the pro-black movement to hip hop is dead to hip hop is great to that's old fogarty hip hop to blacks in country music to whites in hip hop. Every intellectual space online has provocateurs and problems with it. Now, there are some that I just see as egregious, i.e., Nazism and white supremacy, and others that I see as equally egregious. Cultures that focus on domination and destruction. But in the intellectual neutral space, you have provocateurs and you have problems, but you also have opportunities. People who are here to do something. What are you going to do? Because it's easy to get online and just talk.
Which a lot of people do. And I think to your point, leadership is not about just talking, it's about action too. As Marshawn Lynch would say, I'm just about that action, boss. I'm about that action. And I think we've talked about this before too. A lot of women are saying, yo, y'all lip service game is tight.
Oh, it's great.
y'all can talk the ears off an elephant.
Yeah, you can go to Greece and be conducting business with Plato and them. So yeah, go ahead and stand in the Parthenon and drop that shiggity diggity.
But when it's time for them actions,
where you at?
Niggas be on that trolley. Bing bing. I stop.
Exactly. Oh, you don't want to stay and just do the work? No, I'm good, man. Then you got a sob story. My childhood. These women, and
I gotta protect my heart.
Yeah, exactly. There's so much I gotta do, and it's just, oh man, you don't understand. What I've been through. All right. Oh wow, time to do work, and now you leaving. Interesting.
But you was just talking about I'm the leader and I'm the head and I'm supposed to get this and I deserve and
yeah,
getting on my program and submission and it. Well,
but then when it comes to the work, you ninja bombing it. What happened? Where'd you go?
Where'd you go? Ninja vanish.
Exactly. Yeah, Shinobi all of a sudden. You done trained in Japan. you done been with the masters and said, we've been doing ninjas since 1000 AD. Yeah, you skilled in that, the disappearing axe. You ain't skilled in the grabbing that hoe or grabbing that other, farm tool and planting like you're supposed to be planting. In dealing with the changes of life that make planting hard, but you still have to get up and plant and make your work your work.
Fellas.
Yep.
That accountability, that integrity we talk about, when your words and actions line up and match, then maybe you could talk about and that's just the makings of a leader. You still have to do something.
Oh, of course. Of course.
You still got to do something. That having integrity, having this accountability, those are just the makings of a good leader. But you still have to put those things in practice. That still has to become your routine. You still got to be habituated to that. So when people talk about you, it's not just one off here, one off there. Oh, he was good in this situation. It was something more consistent.
Yeah. And on that note, thank you guys. This podcast has been crazy just off the amount of sirens in the back.
We're giving out too much free game, man. They coming to get us.
Yeah, them sirens is just crazy. Anyway, guys, like I said last podcast, We got some great stuff coming for you guys. We're going to have some changes we're going to be announcing pretty soon. Look forward to politicking with you guys. You guys know the at Love God Love Sex Pod in Apple, Spotify, TikTok, and YouTube Shorts. Instagram, we're there. We're just not that popping there. But TikTok, we moving and shaking. Yeah, we moving and shaking. Until next time, guys, take care.
Peace.